see a lot of birds chirping, and yeah, so this is me and my porch. Um, this is the first event I'm doing both live on a video and also on the phone. So I guess it's recording. I hope it's recording both ways. And if I don't see too many viewers, if I don't get too many questions, then I guess it's going to be short, but I will introduce the topic to you. The topic of today is an interesting thing that I've heard in from several sources, would be the responsibility over my own life. The connection of responsibility over life and the good girl phenomenon. So I'll say a couple words. So good girl phenomenon is the view of myself. So I, as a girl, as a woman, view myself. I have learned to. This is my life strategy, basically. So I've learned that following the rules, being obedient, being good, being nice, being agreeable, being reliable, gets you far enough in life. Doesn't get you in trouble. Doesn't. It's a successful strategy to live life. And then there are pluses and there are minuses in it. And the reason I'm looking at it, the reason I'm talking about it is that once you realize that you've been a good girl, following the rules, and basically being a reliable rule follower, you realize that the rules you've been following were not set by you. Your main focus has been on following the rules, on getting likes. You understand that when you live in the system and you in the system, you know how stuff works. You know how things work. You know how what levers to pull to get what you need to get. However, your measure of your success is both how you navigate this system and also how you're perceived while you're doing it. You've learned from early on that, giving good answers in school give you praise. Given doing something that's expected of you gives you good looks, cheers you on. So you learned to associate your value in a way, status in a way, with the amount of social likes you get. Just like on Facebook, the amount of social likes you get. And so at some point you understand that the number of likes, while good, also very often, in order to receive likes, you don't necessarily do what you may want to do, but you go the usual route of following the rules. And so when we look at the responsibility over your own life, this is what may happen. A very common theme is, well, first, as I just said, you gave the power over your self-image to others. The likes is you associate how valuable I am, how well I'm doing, how good I'm progressing to the external system. So people who set the rules, people who are evaluating you, they are your judges. You gave the power over your life. You gave the responsibility for your success, for your life, to someone outside of you. So this side of the story is, first, you gave away the power, you gave away the responsibility over your success, over your life, to somebody or something else. And in your mind, this is how things may work. This is how it can manifest itself in life. So people who complain too much, for example, even not too much. Any act of complaining is you're looking for somebody to attach the responsibility for the outcome to. So something happened, my life didn't work out. Who is to blame? Well, I wasn't born in the right country in the right time. The government is wrong. The president is wrong. It's all the fault of Republicans, Democrats. My parents didn't raise me right. The economy is bad. Whatever it is that you think needs to come and fix your circumstances. So the act of complaining itself is giving away the responsibility for your life to somebody else. Another thing, well, also, so there's this complaining, then there's just plain living to the outside standard. There's another, so that's the giving away the power. Not standing your ground, you accepting any rules you're given, not being able to say no, saying too many yeses at your own expense. So these are all the examples of not taking responsibility for your life, not knowing what you want, and not standing up for it. So this is something quite common for good girls. And even if you feel not you may be so used to it that you don't always see it, but you may feel this inkling of maybe I shouldn't do something, or maybe I should do something, but it's unsafe. The safe thing is to go with the flow, to go with the rules. I know what worked before. I know it's going to work again. And then there's the other side, too much responsibility. The point here is too much responsibility when you take upon yourself. It's usually not over your life. So when you see something that is bothering you, you run to help. So you run to fix the problem, you run to help before you think if really your help is what's needed. Think about how many times you volunteered yourself. You volunteered your time, your services, because there was nobody else. This thought of, well, somebody has to do it. Nobody's volunteering. I should do it. Maybe you should. But should you? Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes this is something so important to you. Sometimes this is good for your growth. But some other times it merits to stop and ask yourself my favorite question, why? So what for? Am I volunteering because I really believe in the cause, because it's going to enrich me, because it's going to further me towards my goals? Or is it because I cannot handle the discomfort of nobody else? Because I think that if I don't volunteer, they will think badly of me. If I don't volunteer, then the person is gonna be disappointed, and I cannot have somebody else disappointed. So all these things, if they drive us to take more responsibility than we need to take, to run and pick up somebody else's questions, somebody else's problems, somebody else's situations, if we want to go and fix it, if we want to go and control it, if we want to go and make something better that we do often at the expense of ourselves, then maybe that's too much responsibility that is not our own. So while we give out responsibility for our own life, we pick up responsibility for somebody else's stuff. problems, questions. And we both don't let ourselves enjoy our own life, but also we take away something that somebody else should have done or should have figured out. And I'll just say the last point. There are two sides of the same coin, I guess. So when you give away your power and pick up somebody else's issues, I guess the way out of it is to turn inside. Ask the question why I'm doing what I'm doing, and if it's probably avoiding the discomforting feeling, avoiding looking for to be liked, then maybe this is not something we should be doing. We will do a Q&A session on walking through feelings or feeling, not feeling, and we'll look more into that. We will also do another, I have in my plan a conversation on how this taking or not taking responsibility and having your own boundaries show up in life and in work. So there will be an opportunity for that. For now, I'll leave you with this. First big concept is I give away the power when I define myself by the amount of social likes I get. So I do things not because I want to do something, but because I know that this will get me far, or I know this is socially acceptable. This is the first part. The second part, and that's like it defines the good girl. The second part is when I start complaining, or when anybody starts complaining, really, it's a moment of giving away the responsibility over your life. Another, staying busy for the sake of staying busy, because in my mind, I understand that hard work is the virtue, and so I am a good girl because I stay busy. It doesn't always matter if I produce something while I stay busy, but I know it's liked by everybody, and so that's I earn in a way my goodness. I earn my own status in my frame of reference by staying busy. The flip side of it is taking more responsibility than is mine when I see people who I think need my help, and I run to help them, or I volunteer more than I should, often at my own expense, because I don't like the feeling of discomfort. That what are they gonna think? They need help, and I'm not helping. That's not good. Another version of this is a control. So I constantly scan the scene, and I see my kids doing something wrong. I need to tell them to do this and this in that way. Or controlling, for example, more than maybe I should, just because controlling keeps me in charge. It enforces my system, and I am doing more than I need to be doing. I take more responsibility that is mine. I fix somebody else's problems, and it comes at my own expense. So I'm not focusing on my life. I'm spending time I should be spending on living my life. But I'm sticking my nose in somebody else's business. I'm fixing their stuff, and I'm at the same time robbing them of the experience of living through this, whatever's going on, of fixing it themselves. So that was my take on responsibility of giving away my own and taking up somebody else's. That a theme that is I noticed in the good girl phenomenon. Questions? Yes, I'm ready for questions. And Sarah, I have somebody else, Susan, on the phone. I have Sarah on the video, and so I'm doing both. So the question is, how do you stay yourself and not become somebody else by doing too much, by helping too much? Okay. So far, I've been thinking, all I've been reading about this, and to Friday's topic, I'm a good girl, but I don't want to be a bad girl. What do I do? Is very similar to this. And so the strategy I found, one is in helping. So when I hear a plea for help or a request to volunteer or whatever else, the first thing to check is, am I helping because this is important to me? Is it advancing me to some goals? Or do I feel this feeling of discomfort that, what if they think nobody's helping? I take on their discomfort upon myself. I cannot handle somebody else's discomfort. I want to be a savior, a good girl who will help, who will be liked for helping. So that is, I think, one factor, I guess, one criterion that will help you determine if you're helping because it's important to you, or you're filling the hole that you're not comfortable seeing or feeling, actually. And also, as I'm thinking, are you asked to help? That's another one. If you're going there to fix stuff that you think is wrong, are you invited to fix it? If not, don't. Just don't. First, make sure they need help. All this unsolicited advice, I think you're doing, you're parenting wrong, you're cooking wrong, I think your dress doesn't fit you. None of that is helpful because you were not asked. And you're actually going there and inviting yourself to fix something that is not your business. So you're expending yourself. And also, if the help is at your expense, if you think about it and if you realize that, very often we volunteer without a second thought, how much really time do I have? What burden am I putting on my family? What am I, what am I paying to do something? And when you look back on some volunteer project or some help or some wherever you're inserting yourself, if you actually did these checks and balances, then maybe, for you would scale down your help, or you would not help, or find another way to do something just because you are solving somebody's problem at your own expense. You're spending the time that you're not spending on something that's more important to you as a person. So if you want to comment something, Sarah, you too, it's so I'm doing this videos as a bit of a research. So I'd like to see what questions come up when I'm talking about something, and if I'm delivering the topics adequately, correctly. I am thinking of writing a book about this good girl phenomenon and how to go from, checking off boxes to fulfillment to living a fulfilling life. And so this communication is very important in terms of getting the message clear, both to me and from me. And so the questions are important. If I'm not being clear enough, that I'd like to know, this is my invitation to you to give me a criticism in any form, and I will try to clarify for both the viewers, the listeners, and myself, of course. And I really appreciate your participation. Susan, yes. So the question is, there are some people who have figured out that you're a good girl, that you rarely if ever say no, and they use it. So they keep asking for help just because you always do, because you always help. It's a big issue of boundaries that we set for ourselves. That it's our personal you know, what is acceptable to me, what am I doing, what am I not doing, and also when people keep asking for help and expect help, you know, they don't expect no, really, and you've never given no, and you know this feeling, I'm sure, in your body, even if you, like, in your mind you're used to it, your body knows, however it's manifested for you. But I know that for me, it's like this shrinking feeling, like something starts pressing inside. And I'm like, I get small, I shrink. And I'm saying yes, and I understand that it's putting a burden on me. And it's like I get lower just because it's heavier. It's a moment when you need to start working with boundaries. And the way to do that is, again, understanding what's yours and what's not yours. So learning to say no when you know you don't want to say no. And it may take, first recognizing the feeling, not, pausing before you even say yes, just to start noticing that feeling, because it tells you that this is where you're going. You're going into, into taking off from yourself to invest into somebody. Often, it's not even somebody close. It's often somebody, you don't even care about what their deal is. So it's practicing saying no. It's working with self-worth, with understanding of your own limits, and working through this discomfort of saying no. It's realizing that their life, their feelings is not your responsibility. So if they get hurt because you say no, this is not your problem. Their hurt is their hurt. Everybody's feelings is their own feelings. Me getting upset is not your doing. It's me getting upset. Whatever everybody else is doing is whatever they're doing. How I react to it is on me. And so when you flip it, you understand that your doings is on you, and you are to take care of yourself. And when people react to that in whatever way they react, it's their side. So you already established this, separate you and the other person. You create this boundary between yourself and themselves. You take care of your side. So you reassess, do I want to help this person? Do I want to do this? Do I have time? Do I have resources? Do I, is it on my agenda? If you decide no, then you say no, and then you stop at this boundary. And the other person does whatever they do over there. Maybe because you never said no, maybe you never had a chance to figure out that it's okay. Maybe first they get upset, but then they're like, well, okay, I'll go find somebody else. It's not even a big deal. And you never knew it's not a big deal because you never tried saying no. So this boundary is important, and it's important in so many ways, like not doing what you don't want to do, you don't have to do. So Sarah, I'm reading your this is interesting that you get that feeling when you are asked for help, but also when you ask for help. I'd like to ask you why you say that is. I remember some time ago, I would give my side of the story, but if you would be so kind to write your part of it, I'd really appreciate it. So some long time ago, not so long, I remember it well. Asking for help is tough, for I can do it all. overachiever, good girl, and a type personality. Doing it all is a badge. This is something you present to the world. I can do it all. This is how I earn my worth. And that's what I do. I can work like I have no kids. I can take care of the kids like I have no other responsibilities. And I should look good while I'm doing all this. So when I really when I'm in that mindset, it was really hard to ask for help. It is really hard to ask for help, just because it feels like asking for help, you are not that superhuman anymore. You are giving away quite a bit of that power. But if you attach your worth to the superpower, it means you're chipping away from feeling good about yourself, because it's like, well, if I don't have this, what do I have left? So in a way, it's one way to do away with this is to separate yourself. My being is not my doing. I am worthy as is. Whatever I do is what I do. But I can do this, and I can do something else. My being is worthy, and it stays worthy regardless of my choices. And so when I don't associate myself with this badge of super person, I am becoming more rational. I am becoming more compassionate to myself, because I understand that I'm becoming proud of myself, because I am doing so much. I'm doing enough. And asking for help becomes, from the practical side, it becomes like you're asking for help because you objectively need help. But also when people help you, like, think about yourself. If I ask you for help, you would probably help me if it's not a big deal to you. You may help me because if I ask you and I'm doing too much, and I know I'm doing too much, it's like I'm giving you a chance to help. I'm giving you a chance to be nice. And very often, when people ask me for help, I'm like, well, sure, I like you. You're my friend. I have no problem with that. I have free time. I can help you do whatever, move, take care of your kids. I have 4 kids. You give me another one. It makes no difference in my household, right? But in a way, this event, when you are like this Iron Lady, when I see somebody struggle, and sometimes, often it shows on the outside that somebody is doing so much, they forgot how to enjoy life. You see, a lot of times they forgot joy because they're doing so much. It's like it's your robot checking off boxes. I am often that way, that I am just like, I am on a fast moving train. I have to do this, this, and this. I have like a million things on my to-do list. And if something breaks, the train's going to fall apart. There will be damage. There will be like collateral, a lot of damage. And that's when your face does not show joy. Your life often, is not as joyful, and it's not as slow and, enjoyable as it could be. And if you ask for help, it's only, I feel good that I can help you have more joy. So if you refuse to accept my help, or if you don't even ask for help, in a way, you're even robbing me of my experience of helping you, being closer to you, becoming closer to, to my friend. So there are several things, there is detaching yourself from your doing, and also just objective asking for help. I have a thing on boundaries planned a couple weeks from now. So I will talk more about this, about how not communicating your boundaries, what it's like in life and work. So that would be here. Did it start to answer your question, Sarah? I know I talked so much, but so I hope that was somewhat useful. And yes, I need a place person to talk to when things are good, but also when things are not good, and not feel judged. Yes. I do have that too, and not everybody is good for that. Sometimes, it's not even not good. In addition to that, I would say it's also when things are not so good and somebody would listen and not try to fix it. So somebody would listen and say, that's tough. Yes, that sucks. That is awful. I'm sorry you have to go through this. And that's it. Not offer solutions, not offer anything. Sometimes that is all that's needed. It's like, I hear you. I see you. Yes, you exist. Your feelings are valid. Your feelings are okay. Feelings are okay. So that very often this is what's exactly needed. Yes. I listened to Brené Brown's talk. I think it's on Netflix. Call to Courage, and she was telling a story about herself and her husband on a vacation, and she ended this story with so she says, if a woman can sit with a man in his shame, in his vulnerability, and be with him, she has done her homework. If a man can sit with a woman in her shame and her vulnerability and not try to fix anything, he has done his homework. So it's a great work. It's a great effort, blessing, opportunity to be there for somebody and just be present without having to say, do anything. It was powerful. I listened to it a few times. It's like like I wanted to sink in. I want to learn to be there, to just do that for family, for kids, for just people. Yes. So thank you for coming. Thank you for amazing questions. If you have any more questions, you can comment on the video, or any way you want, and I guess I will say goodbye. Bye.